self-love the key to attracting your soulmate? What if the love you have been searching for has been waiting for you to first discover the love that already exists within you? What if the reason you keep feeling disappointed, rejected, overlooked, or emotionally exhausted in love is not because you are destined to be alone, but because somewhere along the way you forgot how deeply worthy you are? You may have spent years searching for that special person. You may have wondered when someone would finally choose you, prioritize you, understand you, and love you in the way your heart has always desired. Perhaps you have looked at other people finding love and quietly asked yourself, when will it be my turn? But today, I want you to pause and consider something powerful. Before you can truly experience the love that feels right for you, you must stop treating yourself like someone who is waiting to be rescued. You must begin becoming the person who knows they are already worthy of love. Self-love is not about believing that you are perfect. It is not about pretending that you never feel lonely, insecure, or afraid. It is about making a decision that changes everything. I will no longer abandon myself just to be loved by someone else. I will no longer shrink, chase, beg, overthink, or lose my identity in an attempt to convince another person that I am worthy of choosing. I will stop measuring my value by who calls, who texts, who stays, and who leaves. Because the moment you understand your own worth, you begin changing the entire way you approach love. So many people are searching for a soulmate while secretly believing they are difficult to love. They want devotion while expecting disappointment. They desire commitment while fearing abandonment. They dream of being chosen while constantly questioning whether they are enough. And those inner beliefs can quietly influence the choices you make, the behavior you tolerate, and the relationships you continue pursuing. But imagine what begins to change when you no longer wake up asking, will someone love me? Instead, you begin living from a deeper understanding. I am someone worthy of healthy, genuine, reciprocal love. This is where everything begins. Not with chasing, not with forcing, not with obsessively looking for signs that someone is coming. It begins with you, with the way you speak to yourself when no one else is listening, with the boundaries you honor, with the standards you refuse to lower, with the courage to walk away from what repeatedly hurts you, with the willingness to believe that being alone for a season is better than losing yourself in the wrong relationship. Your soulmate is not meant to be the person who gives you permission to feel valuable. Healthy love is not supposed to be a reward you receive after proving that you are good enough. Real love grows more beautifully when you enter it, knowing that you are already whole, already valuable, and already deserving of respect. And when you begin loving yourself, you do not become closed off from love, you become more prepared to recognize it. You stop confusing inconsistency with passion. You stop calling anxiety chemistry. You stop accepting crumbs when your heart desires a meaningful connection. So today, let this be the moment you come home to yourself. Let this be the moment you stop waiting for another person to give you what you have been withholding from your own heart. Choose yourself. Forgive yourself. Believe in yourself again. Nurture the person you are becoming. Because the greatest love story you will ever begin is the one where you finally realize that you were never meant to lose yourself while searching for love. You were meant to find yourself first. And perhaps, when you do, you will discover something extraordinary. The more you genuinely love and honor yourself, the less you chase what is not meant for you, and the more ready you become to welcome the love that meets you with the same honesty, depth, respect, and devotion you have learned to give yourself. The love you are searching for may not begin with another person walking into your life. It may begin with a decision you make about yourself. For so long, you may have believed that love would finally make everything better. You may have imagined that when the right person arrived, you would finally feel chosen, beautiful, important, secure, and complete. You may have placed the power of your happiness into the hands of someone you had not even met yet. Or perhaps you gave that power to a specific person, waiting for their attention, their message, their affection, or their commitment to convince you that you were enough. But here is the truth. Another person's love can be beautiful, meaningful, and deeply fulfilling, but it should never be the only place where you discover your worth. The relationship that changes everything begins when you decide to become the love you have been desperately searching for. Think about what you desire from a soulmate. Perhaps you want someone who listens to you, supports you, reassures you, respects you, and chooses you consistently. Perhaps you want someone who sees your value even on the days when you struggle to see it yourself. Now ask yourself a powerful question. How often do you offer those same things to yourself? Do you listen to your own needs? Do you encourage yourself after making a mistake? Do you respect your boundaries? Do you forgive yourself for the past? Or have you become your own harshest critic while hoping someone else will arrive and love every part of you that you have rejected? Self-love is the moment you stop making yourself your last priority. It is the moment you realize that you deserve your own kindness. You do not have to earn the right to speak gently to yourself. You do not have to become perfect before you are allowed to feel worthy. You do not need another person's approval to begin believing that your life has value. Self-love means looking at yourself with all your dreams, fears, mistakes, and imperfections and deciding, I will not turn against myself anymore. This changes the energy with which you approach relationships. When you believe you are incomplete without someone else, you may chase love from a place of fear. Every delayed message can feel like rejection. Every moment of distance can feel like abandonment. You may overanalyze every word, sacrifice your standards, or accept behavior that hurts you, because losing the relationship feels more frightening than losing yourself. But when you begin to love yourself, something powerful happens. You realize that love is not something you must beg for. You understand that being chosen by another person should never require you to stop choosing yourself. Becoming the love you are searching for does not mean you no longer desire a soulmate. It does not mean you must pretend that you do not want romance, companionship, affection, or a deep connection. Desire is natural. Wanting love is beautiful. But there is a difference between desiring love and believing that you cannot be happy, valuable, or whole until someone gives it to you. Self-love allows you to desire deeply without abandoning yourself in the process. So begin today. Speak to yourself the way you hope your soulmate will speak to you. Encourage yourself. Celebrate your growth. Honor your heart. Protect your peace. Keep the promises you make to yourself. Look in the mirror and stop searching for reasons to criticize the person looking back at you. That person has survived moments no one else fully understands. That person has carried dreams, disappointments, hopes, and heartbreaks, and is still here. The more you learn to love and honor yourself, the more clearly you can recognize the kind of love that aligns with your worth. You stop searching for someone to save you because you have learned how to stand beside yourself. And from that place, you become ready not just to find love, but to receive a love that does not require you to become less of yourself to keep it. The first step toward the love you desire may be simpler than you think. Become the person who gives yourself the love you have always been waiting to receive. The relationship you have with yourself quietly influences the relationships you create with others. Before anyone speaks to you, chooses you, commits to you, or expresses love for you, there is already a conversation taking place within your own mind. It is the conversation about who you believe yourself to be. Do you see yourself as someone who is naturally lovable, worthy, and valuable? Or do you secretly expect people to lose interest, leave, disappoint you, or choose someone else? These inner beliefs may not always be spoken aloud, but they can influence the way you interpret situations, the behavior you accept, and the expectations you carry into love. This is why transforming your self-concept can become one of the most powerful steps toward experiencing a healthier and more fulfilling relationship. Your self-concept is the collection of beliefs and assumptions you hold about yourself. It is the inner story that answers questions such as, who am I in love? What do I deserve? What usually happens to me in relationships? If your story has been, I am always rejected, people never stay, I am difficult to love, or I have to work hard for attention, You may begin approaching relationships through the lens of those expectations. You might become overly sensitive to small changes. A delayed message may feel like proof that something is wrong. A moment of silence may cause you to imagine the worst. You may feel the need to constantly seek reassurance because, deep inside, you are still waiting for someone to confirm that you are worthy. But imagine beginning to tell yourself a different story. Imagine no longer defining your future by your past disappointments. Just because someone failed to recognize your value does not mean you lack value. Just because a relationship ended does not mean every relationship is destined to end. Just because you once felt unwanted does not mean unwanted is your identity. Your experiences are part of your journey, but they do not have to become the permanent definition of who you are. A powerful transformation begins when you consciously choose new beliefs about yourself. You can begin saying, I deserve honesty and respect. I am worthy of genuine love. I do not have to compete for affection. I do not have to chase someone to prove that I am valuable. I am allowed to expect consistency, kindness, and emotional safety. These are not merely words to repeat without feeling. They are reminders that you are choosing to build a new relationship with yourself. As your self-concept changes, your standards often change with it. You become less willing to tolerate behavior that constantly leaves you confused and emotion drained. You stop interpreting disrespect as a challenge to win someone's love. You begin recognizing that real connection should not require you to constantly betray your own needs. This does not mean every relationship will be perfect. Healthy love still requires communication, patience, compromise, and growth. But there is a profound difference between working through challenges with someone who respects you and repeatedly abandoning yourself for someone who refuses to meet you halfway. The most important shift is this: stop waiting for another person to tell you who you are. Their opinion may affect your emotions, but it does not have to define your identity. You are not valuable because someone chooses you, and you do not become worthless because someone walks away. Your worth must become something deeper than the changing behavior of another person. So begin to see yourself differently. See yourself as someone capable of giving and receiving healthy love. See yourself as someone who deserves to be treated with care. Let go of the old identity that was built from rejection, heartbreak, and disappointment. You are allowed to become someone new in your own mind. And when you change the way you see yourself, you also change what you are willing to accept, pursue, and nurture. Your love experience can begin transforming the moment you stop asking, why am I never enough for them? And start declaring, I know who I am, I know what I deserve, and I will no longer abandon myself to be loved. That is the foundation of a powerful self-concept. And from that foundation, you become more open and prepared for the healthy mutual love you truly desire. There comes a moment in every journey toward love when you must ask yourself a difficult but life-changing question. How much of myself am I willing to lose just to keep someone else? Many people spend years chasing affection, attention, reassurance, and commitment. They wait for messages, analyze every word, search for hidden meanings, and constantly wonder what they can do to make another person choose them. They may change their personality, lower their standards, ignore their needs, or tolerate painful behavior, because deep inside they believe that if they just try a little harder, love will finally arrive. But true self-love begins when you realize that you were never meant to chase another person at the expense of losing yourself. Choosing yourself does not mean becoming cold, distant, or uninterested in love. It does not mean that you should never make an effort in a relationship. Healthy love requires communication, vulnerability, patience, and sometimes the courage to fight for a meaningful connection. But there is a difference between making a genuine effort and constantly chasing someone who gives you uncertainty. There is a difference between expressing love and begging to be loved. There is a difference between being devoted and abandoning your own peace to keep another person comfortable. When you do not fully recognize your own value, chasing can become a habit. You may believe that love must be difficult to be meaningful. You may think that the more you suffer for someone, the more valuable the relationship becomes. You may confuse anxiety with passion and inconsistency with mystery. But love is not supposed to be a constant test of your worth. You should not have to wake up every day wondering whether you are enough to be treated with basic kindness, respect, and honesty. Self-love teaches you to pause before reacting. Instead of immediately chasing someone when they become distant, you learn to return your attention to yourself. Instead of asking, "What can I do to make them want me?" you begin asking, "What do I need right now?" Instead of making another person's behavior the center of your emotional world, you remember that your life, your dreams, your peace, and your identity still matter. This shift is powerful because when you constantly chase, you may unintentionally communicate to yourself that another person's attention is more important than your own well-being. Every time you ignore your boundaries to avoid losing someone, you send yourself the message that your needs can wait. Every time you accept disrespect because you fear being alone, you teach yourself that loneliness is more frightening than self-abandonment. But the moment you begin choosing yourself, you start breaking that pattern. Choosing yourself means honoring the promises you make to your own heart. It means refusing to chase clarity from someone who continually creates confusion. It means recognizing when you are giving far more than you are receiving. It means having the courage to step back and ask whether the relationship you are pursuing actually reflects the kind of love you desire. You do not become less attractive to love when you stop chasing. You become more grounded. You begin building a life that does not collapse simply because one person is uncertain about you. You rediscover your passions, friendships, goals, and dreams. You remember that your identity is bigger than your relationship status. And from that place, you can approach love with greater clarity rather than desperation. The beautiful thing about choosing yourself is that it changes what you tolerate. When you genuinely know that you can survive disappointment, rejection, or even heartbreak, fear no longer controls every decision. You no longer feel that you must hold on to every connection simply because it exists. You become willing to let the wrong situations go, rather than sacrificing yourself to make them work. And this is where the transformation begins. The more you choose yourself, the less you need to chase validation. The more you honor your worth, the easier it becomes to recognize mutual effort. The more peaceful you become within yourself, the more prepared you are for a relationship that adds to your life, rather than becoming the only thing that gives it meaning. So let today be a turning point. Stop running after what repeatedly runs away from you. Stop proving your worth to people who are determined not to see it. Stop abandoning yourself in the hope not some vessels will finally stay. Choose yourself, not because you have given up on love, but because you have finally understood that the right kind of love should never require you to betray the person you are. The moment you stop chasing and start choosing yourself may be the moment you finally become ready to receive the love that chooses you freely, fully, and with mutual respect. One of the greatest acts of self-love is learning to recognize the fear that causes you to settle for less than your heart truly desires. Sometimes people do not remain in painful, confusing, or unfulfilling relationships because they believe they are happy. Sometimes they stay because they are afraid, afraid that this may be their only chance at love, afraid that no one else will understand them, afraid of starting over, afraid of being alone. And when fear becomes stronger than self-worth, you may begin accepting things you once promised yourself you would never tolerate. You may convince yourself that a little attention is better than no attention, that inconsistency is better than loneliness, or that being unhappy with someone is somehow better than being peaceful by yourself. But self-love asks you to look deeper and remember this. Being alone is not the same as being unloved, and walking away from what hurts you is not the same as giving up on love. Many of the fears we carry into relationships are connected to old experiences. Perhaps you were rejected in the past. Perhaps someone you deeply loved walked away. Maybe you were taught, directly or indirectly, that you had to work hard to earn affection. Over time, these experiences can create an inner belief that says, "I have to hold on tightly because love always disappears." And when you believe this, You may tolerate situations that repeatedly hurt you, because the possibility of losing the person feels more painful than the reality of losing yourself. But healing begins when you become willing to face these fears instead of allowing them to control your choices. You must ask yourself, am I staying because this relationship is genuinely healthy, or am I staying because I am afraid that nothing better will come? This question can be uncomfortable, but it can also be incredibly freeing, because the moment you identify the fear, you begin separating your true desires from the anxiety that has been making decisions for you. Self-love does not tell you to become perfect before you can receive love. It does not mean you must heal every wound before entering a relationship. We are all growing, learning, and becoming. But self-love does encourage you to stop using another person as a way to escape your own fears. A relationship cannot permanently silence the voice inside you that says you are not enough. Another person's presence cannot completely heal the wounds you refuse to acknowledge. Healing requires your participation. It requires honesty, patience, compassion, and the willingness to give yourself the care you have been hoping someone else would provide. As you begin healing, your standards become clearer. You start understanding that love should not require constant suffering. You recognize that being treated with respect is not asking for too much. You learn that boundaries are not walls designed to keep love away. They are guidelines that protect your peace and help create healthier connections. You stop apologizing for wanting consistency. You stop feeling guilty for expecting honesty. You stop lowering your standards simply because someone occasionally gives you attention. Perhaps the greatest freedom comes when you realize that you can survive being alone. You can survive a goodbye. You can survive disappointment. You can survive the ending of something you once believed you could not live without. And once you understand this, fear begins to lose its power. You no longer need to cling desperately to every connection because you trust yourself to continue moving forward, even when life does not unfold exactly as you hoped. This does not mean that heartbreak will never hurt. It does not mean you will never feel lonely or miss someone. Self-love is not emotional numbness. It is the confidence that even when your heart hurts, you will not abandon yourself. You will care for yourself. You will listen to yourself. You will allow yourself to heal instead of running back to what broke you simply because it feels familiar. So stop settling because you are afraid of the unknown. Stop calling emotional pain love simply because you fear loneliness. The right relationship should not demand that you continuously betray your values, ignore your needs, or shrink your identity. Love can involve challenges, growth, and vulnerability, but it should also contain mutual respect, care, and effort. Today, make a new decision. I will no longer allow fear to choose my relationships for me. I will trust that walking away from what repeatedly dishonors me creates space for something healthier. I will believe that my worth does not decrease when someone fails to recognize it. And most importantly, I will remember that the moment I truly learn to love myself, I no longer have to settle for a love that asks me to become less than who I am. There is a powerful difference between hoping that you are worthy of love and living as though you already know it. Many people spend their lives waiting for external proof before they allow themselves to feel valuable. They wait for someone to call, commit, apologize, return, or finally express their feelings. They believe that when the right person chooses them, then they will feel secure. When someone tells them they are beautiful, then they will believe it. When someone stays, then they will finally feel worthy. But self-love begins when you stop placing your sense of worth in the hands of circumstances and other people. It begins when you make a conscious decision to live as someone who knows that love, respect, kindness, and genuine connection are not things you must desperately earn. Living as someone worthy of love does not mean walking through life with arrogance or pretending that you never experience doubt. It means that even when doubt appears, you no longer allow it to define you. You learn to return to a deeper truth. Another person's behavior cannot determine your value. Someone may misunderstand you, reject you, or fail to appreciate what you bring into their life, but none of those experiences have the power to reduce your worth. Your value is not something that increases when you are loved and disappears when you are alone. It is something you carry with you. When you begin living from this understanding, your daily choices start to change. You become more aware of the way you speak to yourself. Instead of constantly repeating your failures, you begin acknowledging your growth. Instead of looking in the mirror and immediately searching for flaws, you learn to see yourself with compassion. Instead of saying, "Why am I never enough?" you begin asking, "Why have I been speaking to myself as though I am not?" This shift may seem simple, but the relationship you have with yourself is built through thousands of small moments. Every thought you choose to challenge, every boundary you choose to honor, and every time you refuse to abandon yourself becomes part of your new identity. You also begin to imagine love differently. Instead of expecting relationships to bring constant anxiety, confusion, or emotional exhaustion, you allow yourself to believe that love can be safe. You can envision conversations filled with honesty, affection that is freely expressed, and a partnership where both people are willing to show up. You stop romanticizing emotional unavailability simply because you are familiar with chasing it. You begin understanding that peace can be just as powerful as passion, and that consistency can be far more meaningful than temporary intensity. Living as someone who knows they are worthy also means preparing life for the love you desire without putting your entire life on hold. Continue growing. Continue pursuing your dreams. Create moments that make you happy. Build friendships. Learn new things. Take care of your mind and your surroundings. Do not spend every day staring at the door, waiting for someone to enter your life before you allow yourself to truly live. Your soulmate should become part of a life that already has meaning, not the only reason you believe your life matters. And as you become more deeply connected with yourself, you may notice that your relationship standards become clearer. You no longer feel guilty for wanting honesty. You no longer apologize for needing respect. You stop believing that asking for consistency makes you demanding. Instead, you recognize that healthy love involves mutual effort. You can be compassionate without accepting repeated disrespect. You can be understanding without ignoring your own needs. You can love someone deeply without making them responsible for your entire identity. This is the true power of self-love. It prepares you not only to attract love, but also to recognize, receive, and sustain it. Sometimes people say they want a soulmate, but deep inside they are so accustomed to rejection that healthy love feels unfamiliar. Self-love helps you become comfortable with being treated well. It teaches you not to run from kindness because you are waiting for something to go wrong. It reminds you that you do not have to create chaos in order to feel passion. So begin today to live from a new inner position. Walk into your life as someone who believes they are worthy of being loved genuinely and freely. Make decisions that reflect your value. Speak words that support your growth, protect your peace, honor your boundaries. Let go of the desperate need to control when and how love arrives, and focus instead on becoming emotionally ready to welcome it. Your soulmate may enter your life in ways you cannot predict, but one thing is within your power: the relationship you choose to build with yourself right now. And perhaps the greatest transformation begins the moment you stop saying, "I hope someone will finally make me feel worthy," and begin declaring, "I know my worth, I honor my heart, and I am ready for a love that meets me with the same care and respect I have learned to give myself." That is how you stop merely searching for love and begin becoming fully available for the beautiful, mutual, and meaningful connection you deserve.